Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, and again, good morning. Thank you for being here with us, whether you're joining us in the pews or online. We have a few announcements this morning. We will have lunch bunch after the service. I'm not sure where it will be, but at Chipotle. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time today, lunch bunch is just an informal gathering to continue to enjoy each other's company with some good food. So you are most welcome to join us for lunch after the service. Between the service and lunch bunch, we will share coffee and conversation here in our gathering place just outside the sanctuary. Unfortunately, we still don't have a host for our online coffee hour, so we have no organized way for our online attendees to meet after the service at this time, but we're very glad that you are here with us today. Today at 1 p.m., you may see, if you're here at that point, you may see some people coming in. That is an in-person processing session for members of First UU that we have provided our space for that. That is a closed event for the First UU community only. Each Sunday, members of our lay pastoral ministry team, we call them the LPMT, are here in the sanctuary during and after the service to listen to any immediate pastoral care needs and assist you with connecting to additional pastoral support if you'd like. You can tell who's a member of the LPMT by their yellow, well, we don't have name tags today. Raise your hand if you're a member of the LPMT. So everyone go to Steve, so everyone go over there. Thank you. And again, any visitors who are here this morning, we're very glad you're here. You are invited to fill out our yellow visitor card in the pew in front of you so you can receive more information about Emerson and all of our activities. You can place it in one of the offertory baskets at the front or back of the sanctuary, either during the office or offering or after service. And we are delighted that you are here. Thank you. Yeah, fill out both sides of that yellow card. And we promise only about 2 emails go out a week. We're not going to bombard your inbox. And now, please join our prelude as we formally begin our service. you. As we gather in community, we look within ourselves and to each other for strength, restoration, and inspiration, so that as we journey together, we catch the spark of the eternal Spirit, and from that spark, we light our chalice flame. Lighting the chalice flame symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of all who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. As we light our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or chalice of your own. Our chalice lighting words for July come from Ben Sewell, a lifelong UU attending First Parish in Lexington since childhood. Please join me in reading his words as they appear on the screen. Out of the darkness, light. Out of the light, warmth. Out of the warmth, joy. Out of the joy, togetherness. May this flame hold us for the time we are here with one another. Thank you.
Good morning once again. My name is Nina, and my pronouns are she, they, and I'm a seminarian on the path toward UU Parish Ministry. I will also be the intern serving multiple UU churches in Houston next church year, so I look forward to more opportunities to know and serve this beloved community. Thank you for welcoming me here today. I steadfastly believe that care is our currency, and that in times of immense change and pain, all we have is each other. It is our togetherness that makes each moment sacred. So come now into this space and feel your body and breath and spirit arrive. Your weariness, joys, apathy, hopes, wonderings, fatigues, and fears are all welcome here. As we work to create beloved community, we welcome all who would join us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us in growing in heart and mind and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. And we welcome all who would join their purposes to ours in a loving spirit of right relationship. Please now join me in our welcoming. The words are on the screen. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in and dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. Each time we gather, we hear words from one of the 6 sources of Unitarian Universalism. Today's reading is by Austrian poet and novelist Rainer Maria Rilke, translated by Joanna Macy from his poem called "Let This Darkness Be a Bell Tower." Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. Let this darkness be a bell tower, and you the bell. As you ring, what batters you becomes your strength. Move back and forth into the change. What is it like, such intensity of pain? If the drink is bitter, turn yourself to wine. In this uncontainable night, be the mystery at the crossroads of your senses, the meaning discovered there. And if the world has ceased to hear you, say to the silent earth, I flow. To the rushing water, speak, I am. So with our chalice lit and our hearts opened, we have arrived this Sunday morning. With our hopes and our anxieties, we have arrived on a Sunday morning. And with our joys and sorrows, we've arrived this Sunday morning. Rilke said, "Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you." So I invite you now into a meditative space where we can remember that in our breathing, we are one. So quiet your body and soften your gaze. And without changing anything, simply notice where you are. Notice the physical sensations of being alive right now. What do you feel? What can you hear? I want you to bring attention to the joys that you carry right now. What is bringing ease, pleasure, or connection? And imagine holding all of this joy right in the center of your chest. If it feels helpful, you can place a hand over your heart. From this place emanates warmth like the sun. Breathe in deeply, breathe out, and release the warmth. Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. Now let your attention move to anything that feels heavy or painful or full of grief. What truths are simply too much to bear, outside of your control but not far from your heart? Imagine holding all of this in the open palms of your hands, and if it feels helpful, you can open your hands. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out. And imagine cool water pouring over your open hands, washing them clean. Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. We breathe for the dignity of all beings. We breathe for our interdependence and connection. We breathe to return to the home of our bodies. Take one cleansing breath and return to our space. Our music today is all pre-recorded. You are invited to join your voices when there are lyrics on the screen. The first song today is called "Tending the Spark" by Heather Houston. Maybe not. Let's check in with the tech booth.
And we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our grieving hearts, and we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts, and we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of hope. Oh, may it grow. come together, we are tending the spark.
Good morning. I will be reading today from This Day in UU History by Frank Shulman, a former reverend here. On July 11th, 1767, John Quincy Adams was born in Braintree, now Quincy, Massachusetts, the son of U.S. President John Adams. After graduating from Harvard College, he became a lawyer and served in a variety of governmental posts, particularly in foreign service. His offices included U.S. Senator, Minister to Russia, Chairman of the U.S. Peace Commission, and U.S. Minister to England. He was also Secretary of State under President James Monroe, for whom he authored what became known as the Monroe Doctrine, asserting U.S. primacy over other powers interested in the Americas. He was elected president in 1824 and later served in the U.S. House of Representatives. Born into the Unitarian Church of Braintree, he was a founding member of the Unitarian Church of All Souls in Washington, D.C., and is buried with his wife and parents in the church in Quincy. He died on February 23, 1848. And on July 12th, in 1817, the transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau was born in Concord, Massachusetts. The son of a pencil maker, he earned his living at that trade, supplemented by occasional teaching. Thoreau attended Harvard College, despite his family's low income, with Ralph Waldo Emerson as his primary mentor. Only 2 of his books were published during his lifetime, A Week on the Concord and Merrimack Rivers, and Walden, 1859. Thoreau wrote the influential essay on civil disobedience to protest the Mexican-American War and publicly supported the abolition of slavery, coming to the defense of John Brown. He was reared Unitarian and resigned his membership, not because he changed his theology, but because he did not want to belong to any organization. He said he would resign from the United States if he knew how. Thoreau died of tuberculosis at the age of 44 and was buried at First Parish in Concord after a eulogy by Emerson. That was This Week in UU History.
It is important when we come together that we acknowledge that our shared history is a harmful one. Our congregation's buildings are situated on the home of the Karankawa and Atakapa peoples for at least 2,000 years before European settlers arrived and very nearly brought about their end. May we now recognize, uplift, and support Indigenous voices and communities in our work as a congregation.
Emerson collects an offering each week, like many other communities of faith. But our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and an important way to live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our July Share the Plate recipient, the UUA Disaster Relief Fund. Your donation allows the UUA to respond flexibly to current disaster needs, as well as to new emergency situations as they arise. The fund disperses grants to UU congregations and recognizes UU nonprofit entities who are suffering disasters. Their work enables us to embody our faith and values. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or check in our offering baskets, or mail a check to the church. And normally at this time, any children would go to follow their teachers to their RE class, but do we have an RE teacher today? So I think we may not have an RE teacher to follow, so we invite the children to remain with us for the service. Thank you for that lovely music. Our next reading is an excerpt from Active Hope, How to Face the Mess We're In Without Going Crazy by Joanna Macy and Chris Johnstone. Some of you may remember we also got a taste of that a few months ago with Reverend Dan King, so it's wonderful to delve further into that. Joanna Macy is an environmental activist, author, and Buddhist, and Chris Johnstone is a scholar and trainer in resilience and well-being. In the agricultural revolution of 10,000 years ago, the domestication of plants and animals led to a radical shift in the way people lived. In the Industrial Revolution that began just a few hundred years ago, a similar dramatic transition took place. These weren't just changes in the small details of people's lives. The whole basis of society was transformed, including people's relationship with one another and with Earth. Right now, a shift of comparable scope and magnitude is occurring. It's been called the ecological revolution, the sustainable revolution, even the necessary revolution. We call it the Great Turning and see it as the essential adventure of our time. It involves the transition from a doomed economy of industrial growth to a life-sustaining society committed to the recovery of our world. This transition is already well underway. In the early stages of major transitions, the initial activity might seem to exist only on the fringes. Yet when their time comes, ideas and behaviors become contagious. The more people pass on inspiring perspectives, the more these perspectives catch on. At a certain point, the balance tips and we reach critical mass. Viewpoints and practices that were once on the margins become the new mainstream. In the story of the Great Turning, what's catching on is commitment to act for the sake of life on Earth, as well as the vision, courage, and solidarity to do so. Social and technical innovations converge, mobilizing people's energy, attention, creativity, and determination in what Paul Hawken describes as the largest social movement in history. In his book, Blessed Unrest, he writes, I soon realized that my initial estimate of 100,000 organizations was off by at least a factor of 10, and I now believe there are over 1 and maybe even 2 million organizations working toward ecological sustainability and social justice. Don't be surprised if you haven't read about this epic transition in major newspapers or seen it reported in other mainstream media. Their focus is usually trained on sudden, discrete events they can point their cameras at. Cultural shifts happen on a different level. They come into view only when we step back enough to see a bigger picture changing over time. A newspaper photograph viewed through a magnifying glass may appear only as tiny dots when it seems as if our lives and choices are like those dots. It can be difficult to recognize their contribution to the bigger picture of change. We might need to train ourselves to see the larger pattern and recognize how the story of the Great Turning is happening in our time. Once seen, it becomes easier to recognize. And when we name it, this story becomes more real and familiar.
One summer Sunday in New York City many years ago, I attended a UU church in Brooklyn whose theme for the day was happiness in Buddhism. We filled the space, settled down, listened to the prelude, and during the invocation, the minister said, "Today we were going to talk about happiness in Buddhism, but another black man was murdered by the police yesterday, so now we need to talk about that." And the minister led us in the conversation that we needed to have, instead of the one that we planned on having. And I think about this moment a lot because coming together in community, especially spiritual and liberatory community, should mean us asking ourselves what we need to talk about, what needs doing, what needs healing. And I think the word need invites us to plumb spaces that otherwise might be avoided because they're too gross or they're too wounded or it's too hard. You could say that there is a lot that we need to discuss in this time of overlapping polycrisis. These days, in what the environmental activist Joanna Macy calls the Great Turning, we are deeply suffering change. Like standing on a continental divide with one foot on either side, feeling the two pieces rip apart, wondering if our shared body can sustain the damage, wondering if this is the crack where the light gets in, or our ultimate demise. So what then needs talking about when the world is being ripped in half? We need to talk about climate. We need to talk about democracy. We need to talk about growing inequality. We need to talk about the disenfranchised and the forgotten and the children. We need to talk about what we'll do about it and when we'll do it and who will do the doing. And then, as we who cherish and nurture community know, we also need to talk about sustenance and rest and joy. We need to militantly refill our tanks so we can show up to do all of the things that need doing. We need to know that there is a beloved community that accepts us and sees and reflects back to us our efforts. In this time when there is so much that needs talking about and needs doing, we can feel compelled to take sides, to seek perfection, to trip up on the right way, or the right message, or the right moment. And I'm so glad that we share a theology that returns us to each other. Our interconnectedness is amplified in our seventh principle, which calls us to respect our interdependent web of existence. It means that we amplify the dignity of all beings, that we grieve the pain of all beings, that we are here on behalf of all life, and that the work that really needs doing is dismantling brick by brick the walls that obscure our understanding of ourselves and that amplify the lie that we don't belong to each other. Joanna Macy describes the Great Turning as a societal shift from an industrial growth-driven civilization to a life-sustaining one, a transition away from separateness, violence, and supremacy toward peace, interdependence, and restoration. And it is good for us to remember that there are lots of people who have, for a very long time, been working toward peace, interdependence, and restoration. We can't forget that this particular moment and that our particular lives are but a single thread on a much larger tapestry of life. Joanna suggests that there are 3 dimensions of the Great Turning, each with their unique responsibility to our overall effort of change. No one dimension is more critical than the others. Nothing must happen before anything else does, and it is actually most powerful when a community can practice all dimensions overlapping at once. The first dimension of the Great Turning focuses on what she calls holding actions. These actions work to protect what is left of our natural systems, rescuing that which we can from further loss and countering the unraveling of our social fabric. Those who do holding actions are defenders, safeguarding communities against exploitation, war, starvation, and injustice They are defending our shared existence and the integrity of life on this planet. Holding actions include curating and sharing helpful and accurate information about what's happening, calling out and calling in those who act in unethical ways, and engaging in direct action to disrupt behaviors that don't align with the world that we're building. For Unitarian Universalists, this looks like our electoral efforts, our participation in vigils, marches, and protests, our support of boycotts and divestment campaigns, and the sanctuary we provide to those who need material support. These holding actions buy time. They prioritize safety and survival right now to get us to the next moment, but they are not enough by themselves, because along with stopping the bleed, we need to also stop what's causing the wounds. So the second dimension of the Great Turning focuses on transforming actions. This is where we develop and implement life-sustaining systems and ways of living together. We turn away from opaque practices that protect obscene wealth and safety for the very few while impoverishing the rest of humanity. The work of transformative actions is to develop structures using new narratives. Empire is actively, grotesquely failing us, and we can withdraw our consent. Furthermore, we can explore and practice alternatives rooted in ancestral wisdom, ecological balance, accountability, restorative justice, and so much more. These transforming actions include ecologically sound farming practices, communities practicing placing disability justice at the center, restorative and transformative justice practices that center wholeness instead of rightness. For Unitarian Universalists, this looks like our commitments to welcoming queer folks and their families, our commitments to ferociously protecting unhoused and undocumented people, and our investment in ecological protection and restoration. And the third dimension of the Great Turning focuses on shifting perceptions and values. This work tends to the root, considering the strength of the tethers that keep us connected to our shared work and to each other. Without deeply realized and embodied values, our attempts at change are flimsy, subject to weather changes or burnout or deprioritization. As we become more disillusioned with the myths that have been served to us, we become more powerful and certain in our return to interdependence. So rather than being a victim of all the forces trying to keep us separate from each other and separate from our bodies and separate from our collective futures, this dimension reminds us to root down hard and grow strong with all of the time and the nourishment that it takes. Examples of this rooted work include grief-tending practices, practices of intersectionality and co-liberation, like ecofeminism and eco-psychology, and somatic therapies that understand that our connection to the body of the world is only possible through our connection to our own bodies. A lot of Unitarian Universalism occupies this dimension, including often how each one of us has found our way to this community. How many of us were drawn here because we had an inkling, some sort of tickle, that there had to be a better way? A better way to love, to support, and to educate children, ours and others. A better way to be a brain and a body, integrated and trusting. A better way to manage conflict, to fall out and come back together. This work of shifting perceptions and values is both the attraction and the imperative of Unitarian Universalism. This work has been done for decades now, and the phrase, the Great Turning, has been used since the 1980s. And recently, there was a fourth dimension suggested, that of nurturing life. Examples of this dimension include raising children with life-affirming consciousness, growing food and saving seeds, caring for people of all ages and abilities, and restoring our ecosystems. And now, truly, this is considered the foundational glue that holds all other dimensions together. Because no matter how you're contributing, you are fighting the decay and rot perpetuated by empire, and therefore nurturing life. Something to remember in this work: no effort is insignificant. Nothing you do at home, or in love, or at work, or with children, or with your body is insignificant. Nothing created through written word, or dance, or breath work, or song, or stillness is insignificant. No skill that is shared, art that is created, need that is met is insignificant. These efforts of preventing greater loss, of transforming systems and hearts, of aligning values with actions, and of nurturing life are all aspects of what Joanna Macy calls the work that reconnects. And I'm glad that she called it the work that reconnects instead of the work that connects, because it's important for us to remember that our bodies and our spirits know how to do this. Our coming together is a return to our natural states, and it is an antidote to the immense despair experienced as we witness daily atrocities. It is a way, she says, to transform despair and overwhelm into inspired, collaborative action. So I wonder now about you, beloved congregation. Which dimension of the Great Turning are the actions of your life feeding? And which dimension of the Great Turning do you believe Unitarian Universalism is best poised to serve? I like Joanna Macy's framework because it gives us another way to understand and remain present in this very moment, as so much is asked of us. Our theology asks us how our love creates more possibilities for life. It asks how our love increases our capacity to love the world and how it can sustain this love through our entire lifetime. This moment does not ask us for unbridled optimism, and it does not require that we find palatable packages for our grief or ascribe to standards of perfection or purity. But it does require us to use our breath and words and action to find our way back to each other and stubbornly believe in our interdependence. This commitment to choose life, to choose each other, to choose our shared future by all means possible is the charge of our shared theology. Joanna said, "Grace happens when we act with others on behalf of our world." This belief that we are each other's keeper, savior, and grace, this is our theology, and this is our way through. 8 days ago, after a fall and a broken hip and a bout of pneumonia, Joanna was moved to hospice, where she rests now. Near her bed hangs a piece of art that reads, "Each moment only once." In these choppy waters, may you find serenity in doing the work that is only yours to do, the role that only you can play. May you put down that which is beyond your means or control before you go to bed each night. This is the work of our lives, every day, forever. And as Joanna says, this moment, you're alive, and you can dial up the magic of that at any time. May it be so. Our final hymn today is We Are. That's also going to be on a video behind me, performed by Dr. Barnwell and the UUA General Assembly Choir from 2020, when GA was virtual.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sun. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
Each time we come together, we move. We move with the words that we hear. We move with the music that we hear. We move with the light of the chalice, which, like us, flickers and flutters from side to side, moving constantly yet tethered to its source. We extinguish this chalice now, not as a symbolic ritual, but as a practical ritual. We do this because the flickering, fluttering light of our congregation is carried within each of us here present, those not present today, those who have left this community long ago, never to return, and those who are yet to arrive. We are so grateful for your presence here this morning. For those of you who have joined us on YouTube, after the postlude, we'll be ending our live streaming service. We love having you and look forward to seeing you here again, either online or with us here on Bering Drive. As we break our sacred space, may the abundance and care that we fostered here spill out into the wider world. May your work of living and loving be infused with the support of our community. May you continue to create, build, and nurture. May you carry softly the pressures of this world and remain open to the mystery of what's to come. Go today in peace and power.